there. So you can send me a message on 0741 302 5596. And then I will read your messages or your encouragements to them. We are talking about immigration today. We are talking about everything that faces the UK immigration system, that is in the UK immigration system. And then, as we know, so many people are facing immigration issues in the UK. So if you have any questions, if you don't want me to mention your name, you can let me know in your message, and then I will not call your name. If you want me to call your name too, then you don't say anything. I'll call your name, and then we would take it from there. So if you are listening to me, those of you who have started sending me messages already, we are going to touch on everything that we want to talk about. It is immigration, and then we would answer your questions. This is PatMac Radio UK. My name is Patrick, and you are on the live train. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to put my experts on the line. I will start with Mr. Opoku Opare. I will leave him to introduce himself, and then I will then go to my immigration solicitor. Mr. Opoku, good evening.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Between you and I, you are my boss. I know you. Please, can you can you please describe yourself to my listeners?
Well, my name is Opoku Opare. I'm originally from Ghana. I live in the UK. I'm a broadcast journalist, and I train broadcasters and presenters all around. And yeah, basically that's me.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's my boss. And as a matter of fact, we are doing the interview together and he's training me. So if you see anything or hear anything that I should do, please let me know, because my trainer is online. Thank you very much. Mr. Rizwan.
Hi, Patrick.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much for inviting me to the show, firstly.
I'm grateful for your time.
I have been looking forward to this ever since you mentioned so, and I hope this show can be beneficial for the listeners tonight, and hopefully we can answer any particular queries that the listeners may have in relation to immigration or nationality and any related issue. And yeah, we could take it from there, yes.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rizwan, please, who is Mr. Rizwan?
Okay, so I'm a solicitor practicing in the UK. I specialize mainly in immigration and nationality. So I represent many clients, immigrants who wish to settle in the UK, who wish to remain in the UK legally, or even those of us who are settled already here, such as British citizens who may have family abroad, and they may wish to, to sponsor them to join them here in the UK. So I deal with a wide variety of immigration and nationality matters in the UK. Yep.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to an immigration solicitor. He specializes in immigration. So if you have any questions, this is the time. Send me your questions, send me your contributions. Miss Maudlin, I can see you. Thank you for your message. Mr. Rizwan, in your practice as an immigration solicitor in the UK, what would you say is the major issue, or let me say the major problem that is facing immigrants in the UK?
Major issue being, I guess it's for those, again, every case is different, but it's for those who are living in the UK, unfortunately, without any legal status at the moment. So they may have arrived as students, as visitors maybe, or through any other visa category, and they find themselves, maybe the circumstances have changed since they arrived, and they unfortunately don't have any legal status, which means they unfortunately deprived many rights which most of us enjoy in the UK. This could be, for example, the right to work, the right to study, the right to receive benefits even. So I guess it's those type of immigrants that are most vulnerable, if you like, currently living in the UK, and then find them, and some again, every case is different, but some find themselves, some are more in more worse a position than others, you know. And some unfortunately are unable to avail such legal assistance, even because maybe due to cost or money issues, or wide variety of issues really. So however, we're here, myself, I work at Foster's Legal Solicitors. We represent clients especially from those who want benefits or who do not have much recourse to funds, and especially those who are more vulnerable than others, and we do our best to represent them before the Home Office, and we try to do our best so that they can remain in the UK legally, and so that they can enjoy all the rights and live a fulfilling life in the UK. Yep.
Wow.
So yes, so I would say the people who are facing the most difficulties are those who without any legal status, because as I said, they unfortunately wouldn't have any rights in the UK. A key one being the right to work. As you appreciate, we all work, and we all earn a living for our families, for ourselves, and without any funds or without any income, we are unable to do even the simplest of things. So yes, I think that would be the answer to your question.
Wow. Mr. Hogu.
Yes, sir.
Please, in your stay in the United Kingdom, considering the time that we spent in the United Kingdom, the time that you spent on radio, what would you say is the major problem of we immigrants in this country? And please, as we continue, if you have anything to ask the solicitor, please feel free.
Actually, in response to your question, as part of the response to your question, I would also like to ask Mr. Rizwan a question that is connected to the answer that I'm about to give you. The reason I'm saying that is that a lot of immigrants face this problem of let me put it for the lack of a better word, fear. They know they are illegal. They want to be legal, but then there's this fear that when they step up, it's okay. Look, you know what? I'm illegal, but how can I regularize my immigration status? There's this fear that they might be picked up, they sent back home, or put in detention, or so and so. That is what I'm thinking. And on the basis of that, I'd like to ask Mr. Rizwan. Mr. Rizwan,
yes, sir.
what should people in that situation do when there's no guarantee that they could be probably heard or listened to and their problem sorted? Because they're afraid that when they step up to the plate and say, okay, you know what, I am illegal, but I want to regularize my stay, they might be picked up.
Okay, that's a very good question. Yeah, thank you. So in this case, I would say, I know you state that they are fearful, that they wish to take them steps, but I think majority of the people or migrants in such a situation I think are unaware of the process they have to go through in order to remain here legally. So that's why I would urge anybody in that situation to contact a legal representative or a specialist in immigration who can guide them through the process. So anyone in your instance, which you said would be regarded as an overstayer, and they, yes, would be liable to be removed by the Home Office from the UK. So the Home Office would take steps for any such citizens in the UK by firstly locating them, detaining them, and then taking steps to remove them. So I would say it is thus vital for anybody in such a position to not be fearful. I know it's natural, and they will be because of maybe things they hear from friends or online or whatever. However, the Home Office, they will deal with every applicant fairly. So I would say to contact a legal representative, even us, and we would take them steps for the person to, hopefully, attempt to regularize their status. There are obviously many requirements that have to be met for, depending on the application they put through or the claim they make to the Home Office to remain in the UK. And obviously that would depend on their own individual circumstances. Every case is different. But for example, if somebody's living in the UK illegally, common avenues for them to apply to remain legally would be, for example, if they have any family in the UK, or on the basis of their continuous residence in the UK. So there's many potential application categories one could apply under. But I would urge definitely that rather than remaining here illegally, there is a solution to everything, and we are here to help you. So I would urge for them to take steps rather than remaining here illegally, because as the first answer I gave, if you're living here illegally, you simply are deprived of even the basic rights such as working, or benefits. And so if you at least attempt to apply to the Home Office, then at least hopefully, if successful, you should be given them rights. So I would say it's a case of taking the steps and being directed to the right person, to the right legal representative who can hopefully guide them and represent them, really. And that's why someone like myself, that's why I'm here to assist people in those kind of situations. So as I said,
Can I come in quickly?
Sorry, go on.
No, go on. Can you finish that first before I ask the next question?
Sorry, I was just saying, so just to reiterate, there's no reason to be kind of fearful. I think most people, they don't know the process involved, So if they were to, for example, contact us, we'd be more than happy to advise them in accordance to the rules and requirements of the Home Office, and accordingly we can establish which application or which claim would be best for that particular individual, So yes, sorry, up to you now.
Right. What I wanted to say or ask is that there's also the problem of finance. For example, if you are illegal in the country, you can't work, or if you can at all, then you'll have to do it illegally and all that. Now you'll have to go and consult an expert like you, so you can help them to regularize their stay. It's not. I'm confident in saying that it's not cheap, and they probably don't have the money. They probably don't have the resources, and even as much as they want to do the right thing, they haven't got the resources and all that. And so it becomes a bit difficult for them to be able to come and speak to you. Are there any ways of them getting to you, or them getting your help with the barest minimum of finances?
Yep, very good question. And I can totally understand why, as you say, immigrants or potential people who are living here illegally, they would be put off because of the cost issue alone. But again, as I say, there is a solution for everything. Example, for us, we offer free initial consultations, for example. So we can I would urge anybody in such a situation to contact us. We can always advise them initially. In terms of the fees, I absolutely agree. There's a lot of fees involved, especially the Home Office application fees. For example, commonly one would apply for leave to remain, so that's a visa to remain in the UK on the basis of, for example, their family here, or on the basis of their private life, a human rights application basically. And that at the moment, the fees involved, the Home Office application fee is £1,052.20, and there's an immigration health surcharge of £1,560. So in total, yes, it's a lot of fees. It's about £2,600 roughly. However, as I said, the issue is, I don't think a lot of people, they're not aware of the process involved. So I've actually represented many clients who are in similar situations, who are unable to pay for the fees. And there is actually a process which the Home Office has introduced, which is the fee waiver application process, which is for those who do not have the fees or funds available to pay for any such application. So, for example, if they're not working, which they probably won't be because they're not allowed to work in the UK if they're living illegally. So of course, they would be unable to pay for the fees. So providing we're able to establish that they would be destitute, which means they're unable to pay for the essential living costs or needs by paying for the Home Office application fees, then potentially they could be exempt from such fees for the Home Office. And as I said, majority of the people, they may not be aware of this. However, there are provisions in place. As I said, if you're unable to afford any fees, there is this process which we can follow. And so yes, there is vast fees involved, but potentially you could be exempt, so you may not even have to pay for them, especially for the Home Office fees. Our fees, we will, of course, as we always do, to keep them as reasonable as possible. So yes, there is always a solution available.
Well, thank you very much for that answer. I think, yeah, that's quite understood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Poku. There is a question from one of my listeners, and she said she read on the Guardian newspaper that the beginning of November, Parliament passed a new nationality and borders bill that supposedly gives the permission to take away citizenship for non-British people without giving notice. She wants to know if this is actually true.
Okay, so at the moment, yes, it's a news story which is appearing in the newspapers and online. It's still being debated. So it's not actually part of the law at the moment. So they're still debating the issue. Of course, it could be a daunting prospect for many people who may be even British now, but have come from abroad and have settled in the UK. But as I said, it's still to be debated. So it's not.
Yeah. Okay. I have another question from another person. He wants to know, he said, can a student extend visa after schooling? If no, what are the options? If yes, what are the options? Hello, Mr. Riswan.
Apologies, I missed that question. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. The question from one of my listeners living in the UK at the moment. He wants to know if a student can extend visa after schooling. If yes, what are the options? And if no, what are the options? I think this person is a student and seeking to extend his or her visa after the course is done.
Okay. Yep. So in simple, yes, it is possible to extend your student visa. There are key requirements you have to meet, as with all visa application categories. So in terms of being on a student visa, you can extend it on the basis that you will be studying further. Ideally, you'd be studying at a level above the course you're studying at present. So for example, if you're here on a master's degree, ideally, in order to extend it, you'll have to apply for, say, a PhD course, for example, or if you're here on an undergraduate course, you'll have to apply for a master's course. So yes, you can extend the visa in simple. You'll have to apply for a new course of study with the relevant university or college where you're studying, or a different university. And based on that, upon the university accepting you and offering you a place, you will then proceed with the visa application process with the Home Office. Again, we can represent you with this if need be. But yes, in simple, you can extend it as a student. And also, I think you were coming to this, Patrick. If not, you said, either way, whether as a student, whether you wish to study further, or there's if you can switch it potentially into a work visa. So if you've attained qualifications in the UK, for example, you've got a degree now, or you've got your master's, then you can apply for a suitable job. And once you offer this job, it cannot be any job. It has to be something which is related to your studies or your qualifications. And I guess we'll come onto this shortly. It's the skilled work visa route. So you can potentially apply towards that route. And if you're offered a position, then you can potentially switch into the work visa, or you can extend it as a student as well. Yes.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you are on PatMac Radio UK. My name is Patrick. This is the Live Train, the show that we talk about life. We talk about things that happen in life. We give solutions to things that happen in life. If you are listening to me, if you can share the program, if you can invite someone to come and listen, because we are talking about things that would benefit you and benefit someone that you may know. My name is Patrick, and then on the online today, I have Mr. Opoku Opare, who is a renowned journalist, a trainer, and is actually training me. And then we have Mr. Riswan, who is an immigration solicitor in the UK, practicing in the UK. If you have any questions, if you have any contributions, you can actually send it to me on 0741 302 5596. I would say it again, 0741 302 5596, and I would read it loud for everybody to benefit. Thank you very much. Mr. Rizwan,
Yes,
please let us come to work visa.
Okay.
Like, yeah, people who don't live in the country at the moment, but is looking forward to coming to the country to work. What are their options?
Okay, sure. So there is a new work visa route which has been introduced by the Home Office, and it's previously there used to be work permits, which majority of the people may be familiar with, and they used to attract they used to allow you to work in a wide variety of jobs and professions, and it's what a lot of the migrants came over as on their work permits and have subsequently settled in the UK. The Home Office recently have introduced a new system called the Skilled Work Visa route, and this is in order to attract the most skilled and qualified migrants to enter the UK, to potentially utilize their skills and qualifications within the UK. So this has been mainly done by the Home Office in order to attract the best of the migrants, in the sense that those who are appropriately qualified and do have the skill set, as opposed to whereas previously maybe someone used to come over to the UK and they used to start afresh, they used to study and then gain the qualifications before applying for a certain job. But nowadays, as I said, they've got a skilled worker route. So that's for those who have already perhaps gained qualifications in their home countries, or are already working and wish to further and are looking for new opportunities, maybe within the same field or profession in which they're working as at present. There is, again, I'll come to the fact that there is obviously key requirements that have to be met, as with every visa application category. In terms of work visas, you cannot simply, yes, it is possible to come over to the UK on the skilled work visa route. However, in terms of the requirements, you need to ideally secure a job. So as you know, majority of the jobs, they can be applied for online nowadays. So so potential immigrants can apply from their home countries for a job which may attract them or appeal to them from online even. So they need to apply for a job. They need to secure an employer. The employer as well cannot unfortunately just be anybody. It has to be an employer which is approved by the Home Office. So the Home Office have introduced a list of eligible occupations. This is a very long list which contains the suitable jobs which they would consider which one can come to work for potentially. It includes, engineers, nurses, doctors, and many more professions. It's basically what the UK needs at the moment. And so there are lots of jobs available potentially. So yeah, you need to secure a job and an employer in the UK. The employer, in order to be approved by the Home Office, they would need to have a sponsor license. And that involves making a separate application to the Home Office. That has its own costs and requirements. So yes, and once the employer is in a position to offer this job, then the individual can apply for their visa based on that job offer. And then there'll be certain other requirements for them as well. For example, there'll be an English language test to pass, depending on the country they'll be coming from. So if it's a majority English speaking country, then they'll be exempt from this English test. Also, in terms of earnings, a potential employee or employer should be willing to pay the prospective employee or migrant at least 25,600 a year, so earning wise, or an equivalent to £10, 10 pence an hour. So previously, as I said, there used to be work permits, and you potentially people could come over and they can work wherever they like, and there was no minimum salary requirements. But nowadays, unfortunately, there is further restrictions and hurdles. So as I said, there has to be a minimum salary you have to be earning, which is at least 25,600. But either way, yes, it is possible. So providing if somebody is suitably qualified in their home country and does wish to proceed to the UK to work, then providing they can secure a job, again, they can apply online nowadays if they find something suitable. And if the employer is willing to pay them this minimum salary, then yes, there is options available, and we can represent both the employer and the individual in this process. So for example, if somebody has secured an employer in the UK, or they know somebody who has a business in the UK, and if that business or employer is happy to sponsor them from their home country, or is happy to employ them, then then we can even represent that business or employer in them attaining the sponsor license from the Home Office. So we can represent them in making a separate application, and we can advise them of the requirements involved. And once this goes through, then we can assist any individual that wishes to come over on the basis of this particular job. So yes, it is possible, but these are the main changes that have been brought in recently.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So again, it does seem complicated. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah, again, it does seem complicated, but really, as long as you go to the right persons and who know what they're doing, then there is always a solution. So although the requirements may seem complicated, but there is always someone there to simplify them. So someone like myself, as I said, we can guide you throughout this whole process, and to make life much easier. Yeah.
Wow. Mr. Bogu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's another question I'd like to ask you, Rizwan. The question of representation. If the person cannot afford a solicitor and they represent themselves.
Okay. So firstly, it is possible to represent yourself, which is a good thing, because not everybody can, like you said, afford legal representation. But again, someone like myself, in my position, I would advise and urge for you to for somebody in that position to definitely, if possible, approach a legal representative or a solicitor, purely because the rules and requirements can be very strict, the processes can be complicated, and therefore, for example, we get a lot of clients and applicants who come to us who have perhaps represented themselves in the past, and something's gone wrong, they've followed the wrong process, or they've made the wrong application, they've not submitted the required documents, for example, and the applications have subsequently been rejected or refused. This causes, unnecessary, I would say, delays and further cost implications, really, because then they will have no option afterwards but to approach somebody like a solicitor to help them kind of resolve the mess, really. So again, I can totally understand not everybody can afford legal representation, but again, I would say it is vitally important to do so. And instead of doing yourself, you can instead discuss with the legal representative and hopefully agree on reasonable fees that you're able to and afford, you're able to pay, basically. There used to be an option for legal aid, which some migrants may be familiar with.
Actually, that was going to have been my next question.
Sorry, yes. So legal aid is something which the government basically reimburses any firms. So there's certain firms which are very limited nowadays who have the legal aid contracts, and they're able to represent you on a very low fee or no fee even, and then the firms would usually be reimbursed by the government. But to be honest, in immigration, I personally don't know any firm which is legal aid, who does legal aid at the moment, because as you can imagine, the government is very reluctant to reimburse or pay for any such services. So So yes, it is very limited at the moment anyway in terms of legal aid. So it's only in some cases that it is available. For example, in family law, which involves children issues or stuff. It's only in them cases that you are sometimes able to get legal aid practitioners. But otherwise, in immigration, it's very rare nowadays, unfortunately.
Wow.
Mhm.
I have a question here from someone that he doesn't want me to mention his name. He said he's lived in the country for 20 years and he's been undocumented throughout. He's heard that he can apply on the basis of living in the country without having any issues. Is that true? And if yes, what can he do?
Okay, good question. I'll start off with what he can do. Firstly, he can contact us and hopefully we can represent him in this, represent him or her. But in simple, yes, on the basis of 20 years residence, this is known as a long residence. So previously this period used to be 14 years. Nowadays, if anybody has remained in the UK for at least 20 years with or without any legal status, then they can, yes, potentially apply to remain here. It involves a formal application process which needs to be made to the Home Office. The part of the question was that it's undocumented, which is, again, every case is different, so which can be a slight complication because in order to succeed, it's not just simply a case of attaining or completing these 20 years and then you being granted leave to remain without any questions being asked. You still have to put up a case, you still have to submit as much evidence as possible to evidence your continued residence in the UK. For example, this could be, which can be very difficult because if you're here without any legal status, then you will not have much, for example, correspondence, you will not be working, so you will not be able to establish, any legal documentation as such, that you have been living here. For example, if you're legally living here, it's easy for the Home Office to obtain records from the HMRC to confirm that you've been working. But if you're illegal, then of course there will be no such documentation. So yes, there are the slight complications involved. However, if you have been living in the UK for such a long period of time, then you should be able to collate or gather at least some form of evidence. So, for example, you must be registered with a GP. So there could be letters from a GP. You must have. So this person who has asked this question, I'm talking directly to them. So you must have, established many friends, maybe, or relationships or friendships in the UK. So we could, for example, seek their support if they're willing to assist you. We can obtain letters from them or statements from them confirming how long they've known you. So we still would need as much evidence as possible to show the Home Office that you have definitely been living in the UK for the 20 years. And also, again, even with all of this evidence, it's not simply a case of the Home Office granting you the visa. We still have to show that there's certain reasons, there's certain complications involved. The term they use in the rules is that we have to show there's insurmountable obstacles or real difficulties in your reintegration into your home country. So it depends on the country you come from. So, however, ideally, if you've been here for say 20 years continuously, then arguably you would face real difficulties in re-establishing or returning to your home country because you probably will not have much family remaining there, or you may not have any friends there. So based on them reasons, you would definitely have a good case potentially, but it would depend on the evidence you're able to provide. So yes, so as I said, I can understand there may be difficulties in gathering vast evidence, but still you should be able to gather at least some. For example, you'll have GP evidence, you'll have friends and family maybe here, relationships, friendships, you may have yes, so hopefully you'll be able to provide at least some form of documentation. You'll have your passport, for example, or any evidence of your initial entry to the UK. That'll be very important as well. You may have made applications or claims during these 20 years to the Home Office. That may be evidence that you've been living here. So it depends on a case-by-case basis, really. But yes, as much evidence, the more evidence, the better for your case.
Wow.
Rizwan, can I ask this question? Marriage, there's this we know that if you get married, or when you're married, or if you're married to a British citizen, then you have the right. Well, you get the opportunity to become a British, or you regularize your stay and all that. What's it like? What's the truth in it?
Yes, absolutely. Good question. If you have a British partner here, if you're legally married in the UK, you can apply to remain here on your British partner's basis. So they will act as your sponsor. So if you're here, for example, without any leave, or commonly a sponsor would sponsor their fiance or their partner from abroad. So they would arrive in the country as a spouse or as a partner. However, even if you're in the UK, you can switch into the partner category or the spouse category. So with this, it's usually a 5-year period. So initially you'd be given a 2.5-year visa called leave to remain. You would extend it before the expiry. And then once you've completed 5 years in the UK, you can apply for indefinite leave to remain, which is permanent residence in the UK. And then usually you would have to wait 12 months. However, if you're married to a British citizen, then you can apply for nationality right away. And again, that has its own requirements and rules which you would need to meet. So potentially, yes, if you lived in the UK for a period of 5 years as a spouse or a partner, then you can apply for settlement, which is indefinite leave to remain. And then that can be followed up by a nationality application. Nationality is completely optional. Some people don't prefer to, they prefer just to have the settlement status and they don't really need the British citizenship. And others, they do like to have the British passport as well, which certainly gives them even more rights. They can travel, for example, to other countries, etc. So yes, it is possible to settle and become a British citizen yourself. Yes, if you're married to a British citizen in the UK.
Mr. Rizwan, I have another question from one of my listeners. It reads, if an EU settlement student has a stay here, and then she explains that the stay means settled status, joining family. So, and then that status expires in December 2025. But they want to study, and the course finishes in January or February 2026. Would they be allowed to extend their visa on those grounds, or they need to apply for a different visa?
Okay, so good question. So this person has EU settled status in here. They most likely would have pre-settled status. So they've been granted a 5-year pre-settled status visa. So, and they're studying. The answer is they would not have to leave the country, and they would not have to extend it either, because as soon as they've completed the 5 years of pre-settled status, so in this case in 2025, I believe, they should be in a position to apply for settled status, which means indefinite leave to remain, which is permanent residence in the UK. So once they're permanent, so for example, in this case, in 2025, they will have completed the pre-settled status for a period of 5 years. Then they will apply for settled status, which means they can continue their studies and they will be permanently living in the UK. So there'll be no restrictions on them. So they will not have to leave the UK or anything. But then after the 12 months, after they settle status, they can even potentially apply for British citizenship. Yeah. So they would not have to leave the UK in this instance.
So, Mr. Rizwan, this question is for me. I have heard that if you are undocumented, or let me put the question this way, a woman who is undocumented and has given birth to a child, how can that person regularize their stay?
Okay, so again, it would depend on the individual circumstances. So the child, for example, it would depend on who the father is. Say the father, for example, is a British citizen, then the child could potentially apply for a British passport right away following the birth. Yeah. So that would be a variable to consider as well. So it depends on the circumstances really. So if the person is undocumented, they have a child, that does not necessarily instantly give them the right to remain in the UK. Even if they were to apply, the Home Office may even refuse the application. It totally depends on the nationality of the child as well, you see. So again, as I said, if it was a British partner they have, then the child may may be entitled to a British passport from birth. And based on that, then yes, this undocumented person would have very strong chances to apply to remain here on the basis of the child. But as I said, if the other parent is not British themselves, and therefore the child perhaps would have the same nationality as this undocumented person, in which case, unfortunately, there would be no legal right to remain in the UK. I mean, it wouldn't be granted instantly. You would need to apply and give other reasons for you to remain in the UK. You know, so it would depend on the father as well of the child, really, and on the nationality of the child.
So from what you are saying,
because for example, if the partner is not in the life of the undocumented person, then if it's a single mother, for example, then the Home Office may deem for it to be in the best interest for the child to return with the mother to the home country. You know, especially if the father's not involved in the life of the child or the mother.
wow.
So yeah, these things the Home Office usually could consider very carefully as well. Yeah.
Wow. So
yes.
it's wow. So they would deem the child as undocumented and consider that the child will be returned to the home country.
Yeah, potentially, because they would need to consider the best interest of the child. You see, that would be the main consideration. That would be the main thing they'll be concerned with. Yeah. So, and if the father isn't involved either, then the child, the best person to look after or care for the child would be the mother, and they'd be together anyway. So if the mother does not have any legal status to remain, and if she doesn't take any steps to regularize a status or give reasons for her to remain in the UK, then the Home Office would take steps to remove the mother, and the child would then most likely be expected to leave with the mother, because the mother would be the sole carer of the child. So as I said, it will be deemed in the best interest for the child to remain with the mother, whether that's in the UK or abroad. So it would depend on the individual circumstances, really.
Wow. Interesting. I have another question here, a very interesting question. Ladies and gentlemen, the number is 0741 302 5596. Okay, Mr. Riswan, another question. My mother and father have divorced, and I obtained EU stay from the mother's EU settlement visa. I have moved out of the house because of rifts at home, and I'm living my life independently now. Is it possible to renew my visa when it expires without relying on my parents? I'm worried because I came as a dependent for them, but now I am not dependent on them.
Okay, yes. So every case is different. There's always complications in every matter. So in this particular case, ideally, if you came as a dependent, your extensions or any visas granted thereafter would be in line with the parents' grant of visas. Yeah. However, again, every case is different. So it depends on the individual circumstance. It depends on the age of this person, what exactly they do. Maybe they're living, as they say, they're living independently themselves. So hopefully they've applied for pre-settled status. There were deadlines involved. Hopefully they've applied so on time.
Okay.
And hopefully the Home Office can consider them to remain in the UK if they've made the applications within or before the deadlines involved. So they would have chances to remain here, because I presume they already have pre-settled status, so they can live here potentially independently as well, because at the time of the initial visa, the requirements were met. So as part of the EU settlement scheme, you should have been in a relationship ideally by December 2020, which I presume is the case in this case, which the requirements therefore are met, and therefore that's why they've been granted EU pre-settled status most likely. So now they would have to complete the 5-year period before they can apply through their own accord for settled status. However, again, every case is different. So obviously I don't know the full picture in this case, but usually yes is the case that if you arrive as a dependent, your extensions or your visa does remain in line with your parents as well. So this particular person could potentially face face potential issues, to be honest.
Mm.
It would depend on, I would need further details on this one, yes.
Okay, Mr. Bogo, I'll make you come in, but I want to ask this question quickly. Another person is asking, he said he came into the UK with a student visa, and then he has come to start a limited company. Now the student visa is expiring and he wants to know if he can apply for a visa with his limited company.
Okay, so again, many visas and categories have their own limitations and restrictions. So it depends on whether he's been entitled, or as students, you're usually entitled to work for a certain limited period of time. So I think it's usually 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
So in this particular instance, it would be dependent on which particular rights or conditions are that are attached to this person's student visa. Most likely, as I said, they would be entitled to work, but only for a limited period of time. So they would need to, ideally, if they want to remain in the UK on the basis of their work, then they would need to switch into a work visa category. So just on the basis that they've started their own business would not assure them, an automatic extension to their visa. They would need to apply. They would need to apply under the relevant category, most likely is the skilled worker route, most likely. There is post-study visas as well, but again, there's various requirements for this as well. So it's just simply starting a business would not give you the automatic, right to remain. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. Oh, people have started asking for your contact, but I'll make you call your contact. Mr. Boku, please, do you have anything?
Well, I've got loads of questions. The questions I have, I don't think we can finish. Rizwan can finish answering all of them.
Okay.
But let's deal with it. Let me ask the most questions on the most common things that I feel are common with people living illegally in the country. I have already asked about the fact that people are legal, they want to regularize their stay. How do they go about it? And Rizwan has answered, has given us the steps to the steps and all that. Now, we also have heard that if people genuinely fall in love and they want to get married and all that, but the Home Office is also taking steps to make sure that these things don't happen in the country. What is the situation on the ground at the moment? Can you, for example, if I wanted to get married to a British citizen and I'm illegal, can I still go ahead and marry the person in this country, or must I have to go to my country of origin to do that?
Okay, again, good question. Firstly, nowadays, if a couple wish to marry and one of the parties is residing in the UK without any valid leave to remain or visa, they would actually face difficulties even getting married. So if once they, because the legal marriage in the UK involves marrying in the registry office, for example, and that is a two-stage process. First, you need to give notice, and then you need to conduct your ceremony. So the Home Office is very much linked to these registry offices. So if somebody is living in the UK without any leave, then most likely nowadays the registry offices would not give the initial appointment even for the ceremony or the notice giving. So that would be the initial difficulties they would face anyway. But even if they are able to marry, then there are certain requirements that have to be met. Ideally, the Home Office in the first instance would ideally refuse even the application. They would suggest for the person without any leave to return to the home country and apply from there for a fresh entry clearance for a fresh visa in the relevant category, so as a spouse or as a partner. However, again, every case is different. So if there is certain complications involved, for example, at present or recently, we've done many cases where because of COVID, there's loads of travel restrictions and disruptions all over. So if for example, a person was required to leave the UK just to apply again for a spouse visa, then there would be an undetermined or a potentially very lengthy period of separation between the couple, because even the visas and everything was disrupted because of COVID and travel as well. So again, that would be. So we've represented many clients recently in this instance who are unable to leave for their home country because they simply don't know if they will be able to come back again or when they'll be able to come back, especially as there is strict requirements in place for the UK-based sponsor. So for the person who is a British citizen here or who is settled, they have to meet the financial requirement. For example, there's an 18,600 earnings requirement, so they have to be earning that in a year in order to sponsor, to meet the requirements for this spouse visa or partner visa. So if somebody is living illegally, firstly, yes, it is possible to apply to remain in the UK based on their legal marriage or based on the fact that they've cohabited, they've lived together for a period of at least 2 years in the UK. There are certain obstacles initially that would be faced. So the Home Office would be most likely they'd be inclined to ask you to leave the UK and return on the relevant or correct visa by applying for a fresh visa from there as a spouse visa. But as I said, if there is certain complications involved, it could be, for example, the British citizen is not working, for example, or they're not earning as much as they're required to do so. So, for example, in that case, the argument would be on behalf of the person who wishes to remain here is that again, he or she cannot be forced to leave the UK because there'll be no guarantees on them returning, because the sponsor wouldn't be earning as much, so wouldn't be able to meet the requirements to sponsor them anyway. So therefore that would essentially bring their relationship to an end. So the Home Office usually they have to respect the family and private life between couples, between individuals, and therefore that's why the common kind of application process is a human rights application based on your established family life or private life in the UK. So yes, in this instance, there is a way forward, and it depends obviously on the individual circumstances. But as long as hopefully they can show that they are meeting the requirements, the earnings requirement, and they can show they are in a genuine relationship, then there's definitely chances to remain in the UK. And also if the circumstances are strengthened, for example, if they have a child even from their relationship, then that will give them even more of a chance of success in this particular category.
Ladies and gentlemen, our time is almost up. I'm just going to take 2 questions. So after these 2 questions, if you send me any questions, I will direct you to Mr. Rizwan directly. I have a question, Mr. Rizwan. This question goes like, I am on tier 2 visa. My children were born outside of the UK. If I get indefinite leave to remain, what happens to my children?
Okay, so usually the children, so were they born in the UK or did they come as dependents? I think we need this clarification, but usually again, their leave would be granted in line with the parents. So if the parents have attained settlement, then most likely the children's, it depends on the spouse as well, actually, the spouse or the partner. If they're similarly dependents, then the children's leave or visa would be granted in line with the partners. So the partner would have to complete their own period of, it's usually 5 years before they can apply for settlement. However, if there is no partner involved and there's only children, then the children would usually be granted in line with the main applicant. So if this person's due to be granted settlement, then most likely the children will be granted the same in line with the parent as well. But as I said, if there's a partner involved as well, for example, the mother or the father of the children, and if they're here as a dependent as well, then most likely the partner would have to meet their own requirements. They have to remain here at least 5 years and pass the relevant tests before they can qualify for settlement, and therefore the children would be in line with that partner, and they would only be granted after the partner has been granted as well, so after the 5-year period. But if there's no partner involved, then as I said, the children would most likely be granted settlement as well, in line with the main applicant.
My last question from my listeners. Okay, this one is quite long. It reads, I have settled status and my partner has pre-settled EU status. Can we legally marry in the UK, or it's best to be in the country of birth for either of us? If my partner has finished his 5 years EU pre-settled status, can my indefinite leave give him indefinite leave to remain as well? Or do I need to naturalize first to become British citizen? Then he can have stay.
Okay, yep, indeed, a long question. I think the initial part was whether, sorry, what was the initial part? Sorry, so one has pre-settled status, one has settled status.
Yes.
And what was the question?
And then they want to know if they can legally marry in the UK.
Okay, yep. So yes, in simple, they're both regarded as legal citizens in the UK. One has pre-settled status, the other has settled status. So they're both living legally in the UK. So absolutely, they can marry. They can contact a local registry office, and as I said, there's usually a two-stage process, and they shouldn't have any issues with marrying, yeah, because they're both legally living in the UK. Sorry, what was the second part of the question?
And then the second part is, if my partner has finished his 5 years EU pre-settlement status, can my indefinite leave give him indefinite leave to remain as well? Or do I have to naturalize to be able to help him?
Either way, they can't really help each other. Both would have to complete at least 5 years in the UK in order to attain settled status. So one, I think, already has settled status, and she or he therefore would be able to apply for British citizenship 12 months after they were granted settled status. The other partner who has pre-settled status, they would need to complete at least 5 years in the UK before they can apply for settled status. And then again, following 12 months after they've been granted settled status, they can hopefully apply for British citizenship. Yeah.
Mr. Rizwan, if we are looking for you, where can we find you?
Okay, so Foster's Legal Solicitors Limited, we have a website they can access by typing that into Google. Our office numbers are appearing there, my emails. I can even give the email now, or they can contact directly. They can contact the office directly. My email is rizwan, RIZWAN, @fosterslegal.co.uk. But as I said, I think the best place would be by going to our website online, and there all our contact details are appearing, our emails, our contact numbers. Yeah.
Wow. Mr. Boku, any advice before we finish?
I think Mr. Rizwan has done the job. He's the expert on immigration and all that. So, but the only advice I think I can give right now is that if you're facing any legal problems, the best way to go about it is to first see an immigration solicitor or an immigration lawyer, because they know the law, they know the loopholes, they know they're experts, so they can lead you and guide you properly. And when it comes to the fee and all that, the money matter, I like Mr. Rizwan explained. I'm sure if you sit down with them, there's something can be done about it. So yeah, so please, if you're facing any any immigration problems, just go and see the experts.
Wow, thank you very much, Mr. Rizwan. Your last word, and then we will finish the show.
Yeah, no, that was great words. Yes, by Jenny. Sorry, what was your name, so Mr. Sorry, I didn't want to pronounce it wrongly.
Don't worry about pronouncing it wrongly. Just pronounce it anyhow you want.
No, that was very well concluded by yourself. I appreciate that, and no, I hope I hope the show has been beneficial for the listeners, and thank you so much, both of you, again once more for having me. And yeah, and I'll be more than happy to assist anybody who needs assistance, really. And yeah, just to cap off, there's always a solution. There's always a way around whatever issue someone may be facing, and we're here to help. So yeah, so feel free to get in touch if you need any kind of assistance at all. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Foster's Legal Services. Foster's Legal Services. You can Google the name, or you
Foster's
can
Legal Solicitors. Sorry.
Foster's Legal Solicitors.
That's the one.
You can go to their website, www.fosterslegalsolicitors.co.uk. and then you would get all the information you need. You can even contact me. I would link you up anytime. I am here for you. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Live Train. My name is Patrick, and then you are on PatMac Radio UK. I told you we are going to give you the best on Live Train. Join us next week, same time, as we bring you the best in life, the best information. That I've told you, apart from food, the next thing you need is information. Information will nourish you. Information will save you. Seek information, and your life will never be the same. My name is Patrick. Thank you for joining me. God bless you. Bye-bye. Mr. Richard, Mr. Bogu. Oh, they are gone.